to the Ritchie Roundup. I'm Ritchie. That's what my name is. Hi. Hi there. Howdy. What's happening? Hello. Okay. This is a little podcast I do that nobody listens to or watches. A story of my life. I spend my entire life just talking to myself. Just talking to myself. But if there does happen to be anyone, is there anybody in there listening, then please go buy this hat that I'm wearing. The official TJ Ritchie Show trucker hat. It's a Richardson 112. It's a good one. Look how good it looks on me. Looks great. Look at me. All up in here. Looking good. Looking good in my hat. You can find it at tjritchie.com. tjritchie.com. Go to the merch on there. That's where you find it. In the merch. I would appreciate it so much. So I found this this thing that was posted on the line, and it's very interesting, as we've been talking a lot about the uprising of socialism in the United States. They call it Democratic Socialists of America, Democratic Socialism. It's not Democratic Socialism. It's socialism, and socialism is the gateway to Marxism. I mean, to communism. It's all Marxism. And we're going to have to start defunding these colleges, these Marxist universities, who are teaching all of this stuff to our young students. We're also going to have to start. We're going to have to get control once again of the public school system in the lower grades, so they stop grooming children and indoctrinating kids. They've had the leftists have had it too long, and look what they've done. They've messed us up because Democrats are trashy. They're just trash. That's been the running theme on my radio show. Democrats are trash. But I found this, and this is a young woman who has written this for Reason magazine. It says, "My family fled socialism. Then I voted for Bernie Sanders. A radical leftist government uprooted my family and wrecked my homeland. Yet, after I arrived at New York University as a freshman in 2013, I became a leftist. I knew that Chavez and Maduro were socialists, but I wasn't focused on their economic policies. The problem, I figured, was that Chavez and Maduro were authoritarians who trampled on civil liberties. I was excited when one of my professors encouraged our class to attend a lecture by Alejandro Velasco, an assistant professor who had grown up in Caracas. Imagine my disappointment when I showed up at the lecture and learned that Velasco was an apologist for the regime. I voted for Bernie Sanders anyway. Sanders called himself a democratic socialist. He wanted to make the U.S. more like Norway or Sweden, I reasoned, which had nothing to do with Fidel Castro or Hugo Chavez. The Cubans are sending doctors all over the world, Sanders said on the debate stage. The Cubans are sending doctors all over the world. But I've met Cuban doctors who told me that they were forced into service and were paid almost nothing for their labor. Castro's so-called medical missions were a modern-day slave racket. My break from the left didn't happen until my senior year, when I started having conversations with my relatives and other survivors of socialist dictatorships. In attempting to assimilate, I had buried the truth about what had happened to my country because I wanted to be accepted into a culture of upper middle class privilege. I can't take back my vote for Bernie Sanders, and I still feel shame for all the years I spent defending democratic socialism. Socialism turned the wealthiest nation in Latin America into the site of the worst peacetime tragedy in modern world history. We honor its victims by making sure it doesn't happen again. So I assume she's talking about Venezuela. So that's how they get you. You know, whenever you ask these little Marxists, these little privileged, rich kids that are now running around like all these New Yorkers who are, well, what I call Islamists, which is a combination of Islamists and communists, where the Islamists are using communism to get a foothold and to take over the country. And then once they have, you know, enough people to turn the country into Sharia law, then all the rest of it goes out the window. But you take these little brat, rich communists like Zohran Mamdani, the Ugandan jihadist pig, and if you ask them, okay, and this is a question that normal people will ask, can you give me an example of any country in history where socialism was enacted that worked well and benefited the citizens? Can you tell us where socialism has actually worked, where it made the people of the country thrive? There is an instance because it's never worked. But in order to get past that, they have to say, you know, leftists always have, these Marxists always have an answer to some, because they know the obvious questions. And when they don't have factual evidence to back it up, they just make up stuff. And that's what they do. They say, well, the reason it hasn't worked in the past is because it hasn't been tried the way that we're suggesting that we try it. It hasn't been tried as a democracy, socialism by democracy, which it can't exist. So they'll say things like, well, all the other times where it failed and the people were miserable and millions of people died and starved and everybody lost everything they had and everybody was equal, but they were equally miserable. The reason that happened is because they tried to enforce it with dictatorships. We're not doing that. Oh, no. I, Bernie Sanders, am here to serve the people. I was elected democratically. I am not like the oligarchs, the millionaires and billionaires. I am for the working people. And I want everybody to have health care. It's all right to have health care. But there's no way to have a socialist, quote unquote, socialist society without having it forced upon people. And that's what these dumb young people don't understand. They've been brainwashed, like I said. They have been completely, totally brainwashed. And you know what? It's a miracle that this young lady figured it out. And I bet she wouldn't have figured it out had she been raised in America. So she's writing the article as in, even I, whose family was destroyed by socialism, even I voted for Bernie Sanders. She would have seen it before, you would think, before the Americans. But at least she figured it out. The Americans aren't going to figure it out until they're in the middle of the reality of it. You know, the little brat leftist Americans. They're not going to figure it out until it's too late. And speaking of brat Americans, on my radio show tonight, I mean, there was a lot of stuff to rip on Sonny Hostin of The View about. I mean, this woman Every day she's becoming more and more of a joke on that show. And even the crazy liberal women who are the biggest problem in the country are starting to look at her and go, damn, girl, you're stupid. We can't go along with you anymore. You're just damn stupid. She's becoming a joke. And she's been a joke to us, normal people, for a while. But she's even becoming a joke to the brain dead audience of The View. This is what Sonny Hostin said about the American flag. You know, we just came off of the 250th anniversary. Listen to this.
I said this on this show many, many years ago, because this is my 10th year on the show. And I said there are times when I walk into a community and I see American flags all over the community, and I suddenly feel unsafe because there is a section of this country that has co-opted the American flag, and they equate being an American or an American flag with white supremacy. And that should never be the symbol of white supremacy, but they have weaponized.
Now, anybody who sees the American flag as a symbol of white supremacy is on the left. Not a single person on our side looks at the American flag and sees it as a symbol of white supremacy. Never, never, ever, ever. And the only reason the leftists, the Democrats on the other side see it that way is because they have been taught that by the evil leaders of the Democrat Party. Remember, the Democrats are the ones that always have to keep some sort of racial strife going. And that's why the American flag about 15 minutes ago was determined to be racist. And it goes back to the whole thing about Southern Poverty Law Center being accused of paying white supremacists to riot in Charlottesville and have an uprising. So then the Southern Poverty Law Center can go, you see, white supremacy is still alive and well. Send us your donations. We fight against it. That's what we're all about. The Confederate flag has been pretty much done away with. You never hardly see a Confederate flag anymore. So that used to be, I mean, whether the person carrying the Confederate flag or not was using it as a symbol of hate and white supremacy, they deemed that to be a sign of racism and white supremacy, the rebel flag. So now that that's gone, they had to come up with something else. So now you see these patriotic white people waving their flags around. Oh, they're racist. So you take somebody like Sonny Hostin, and once again, let me point out, because I like saying nice things about people. I don't like just ripping on people completely. If there's something nice to say, I'm going to say it. And I will say this. Sonny Hostin is pretty. I think she's an attractive lady. Other than that, you could take her brain and stick it up an ant's butt and it would look like a BB in a boxcar. This woman is stupid. Absolutely stupid, like clownishly stupid. So what she continues to do is this leftist narcissistic trick that they all try to pull, is that she lives in a privileged area because she is a privileged, by the definition of privilege from the left, she is a privileged person. She's rich. She's talked about before that she lives in a white neighborhood and she had to take her son or sons to the police station because they're black and say, this is my son. Don't be harassing him just because he's black. He's my son. She told that whole story, which I don't believe she did anyway. But in telling that story, trying to make herself out to be a victim of racism that doesn't happen to her, she let the cat out of the bag to say that, hey, I have made it in this world. I am rich. I can live anywhere I want, and I choose to live in a white neighborhood. But I'm scared of my neighbors. Oh, and I'm scared of the police here. No, you're not. You're not. But you see, the most valuable thing you can be as a leftist is a victim. So you got this woman who's not particularly talented. They could walk down the streets of where I live here in the suburbs of Charlotte, and they could find a woman easily that could sit there and do what Sunny Hostin does as far as a host of that show. She's not that talented. She's not likable at all. She's got a sour disposition. She is pretty on camera, as I said. She's not bright. She says things that she constantly has to go back and do what do you call it? Retractions, because as an attorney, she's saying things she doesn't realize what she's saying is making her and the TV show and the station liable. So she has to go back and do retractions all the time. All of them do. So she's not that bright. So she got this job that pays her millions. She is set. She's got an easy gig, and she's not that great at it. So she's privileged, but she still, instead of looking at it like, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I get paid as much as I do to do what I'm doing. I am in the greatest country in the world. Look at me. I have made it. I'm living the American dream. I live in a safe neighborhood. My kids are rich. They look good. I look good. I don't know what her husband looks like. I'm coming in here every day. I'm stacking cash. She still is a leftist, and she still has to play the victim card. So I look at the American flag, and I think I'm not safe here. I'm not safe here. When is the last time Sunny Hostin has been threatened by a bunch of white people? When has she really, really had to feel as if her life was in danger, or she was in danger of getting accosted by a group of white people? When was that, Sunny? Specifics. Tell us. Quickly. Tell us. Quickly. You know it hasn't happened. You know it hasn't happened, but she's got to sit up there and whine and cry and, oh, poor me. And it's shameful, because there are like just weird old liberal white women out there listening to her and taking, note and go, oh, she's, I can't believe they're doing that to her. I can't believe this is such a racist. Who would do that to Sunny? Who would be racist towards Sunny? Not our Sunny. She's a damn lie. None of that's happening. She hadn't gone anywhere where there are American flags, where she really needed to feel like she was in danger. She knows good and damn well that her neighborhood is not full of a bunch of white supremacists, because if it were, she wouldn't be there. Or she'd be, have them arrested, had the cops called on them. She wouldn't work and earn all the money she's got, law degree and everything, to go move after she's made it. She's a multimillionaire, and she's going to go move into a neighborhood full of white supremacists. I don't think so. That's stupid. She wouldn't do that. She's got to play the part. She's got to play the part. I'm walking around scared all the time because I'm a woman of color. American flag, symbol of racism, symbol of white supremacy. Okay, Sonny. You're right. Sit down. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. All right, there we go. That's tonight's Ritchie Roundup. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I will talk to you tomorrow. Go get this hat. Go get it, please. TJRitchie.com.